Hey, what's up, guys? I'm here to give you guys a video on main event. I'm going to give you a main event review, and I'm going to talk about Daniel Bryan journey to WrestleMania video. I watched both of them today. I just finished the Daniel Bryan video, so I'm going to talk about each thing. So let's get right into it. So we're going to start with main event since I watched that first. This main event happened on April 8th, 2014. We get Byron Saxton and Tom Phillips on commentary, and it starts out with the Shield versus the Wyatt family. Very well done match. This match wasn't as good as the other two they had. I don't really think this is a match you really put on main event. I think you should put these on Raws and SmackDowns, mainly on Raw. But this was very well done. It was a very simple six-man tag team match. They dominated the Wyatts. By the way, the Shield, I should say, consists of Dean Ambrose, Seth Rollins, and Roman Reigns. The Wyatt family consists of Bray Wyatt, Luke Harper, and Eric Rowan. I gotta remember to say which members are in the tag teams slash stables because I have a lot of people that watch my videos that aren't wrestling fans. Um, and Yeah, this was a very well simple six-man tag. The Wyatts dominated Seth Rollins a lot. They also dominated Dean Ambrose. I don't think Roman Reigns ever got brought into the match, which is kind of a problem with me because it's like everyone on the Wyatt family came in. Why can't they have Roman Reigns come in the match? Why couldn't he have come in? Still did stuff, but it feels like that they're not showing as much faith in the Roman Reigns as they usually have been. He hasn't really been wrestling a lot lately. Um, I don't really know what's going on with that. But yeah, they dominated Dean Ambrose for a while too, and they really did a number on him. One thing I did like is when Bray Wyatt went for the when he went to make the tag, everybody started fighting off with each other, and Luke Harper dove on Roman Reigns, and Bray Wyatt goes to hit the Sister Abigail on Dean Ambrose, and he just rolls him up, and I thought it was going to be like an upset win, but he kicked out of it, and then Ambrose hits a DDT. Seth Rollins comes in and does all this high flying, which is very sick stuff. I love watching Seth Rollins right now. I've really grown a fan to Seth Rollins. I thought Seth Rollins was like the kind of like the guy that was like kind of the weakest of the Shield, but he wasn't too much weaker because Ambrose was like the strongest, and then you had Roman Reigns. It seems like they're trying to make everybody equals because like they always are behind the most on one member of the Shield. Back in when Ambrose was starting on his hot streak and he was wrestling all the one-on-one matches, they were really behind him. They were really behind Roman Reigns at Survivor Series and the Royal Rumble. Now they seem to really be behind Seth Rollins. So it seems like when the Shield breaks up, everybody in the group's going to benefit from it. Um, yeah, but then eventually everything breaks loose. Seth Rollins kicks Bray Wyatt in the head, and Roman Reigns does a Superman punch to him, and he does the knee stomp move off the top rope, and Dean Ambrose hits his headlock driver. They called it Dean's Doom or something. I forget what it's called. It has a name now, but it's the headlock driver on Eric Rowan and gets the win. So I was shocked the Shield went over here, but it kind of made sense since they are going to be feuding with the Authority, and you really can't have the Shield kind of lose because they're probably going to feud with Triple H, Batista's, and Randy Orton. So I really like that the Shield did win. And then afterwards, they cut a promo and they say that they know the consequences, but they the Shield and they fight to stop injustices. And then we got Jack Swagger with Zeb Coulter versus Dolph Ziggler. Before Ziggler came out, Zeb Coulter was talking about how you really can't trust immigrants because Cesaro turned his back on us, and he hopes Cesaro and Heyman are happy together. And he wants every real American to rise and put his hand over heart and say, "With people." I think they are going to continue that feud. The match itself is actually a pretty decent match. Jack Swagger ends up getting the win though when he makes him tap to the ankle lock. I thought that was fine. And then we got Sin Cara versus Alexander Rusev with Lana at ringside. He squashed him. Sin Cara didn't get really any offense, and he got like one kick. And Alexander Rusev wins with the camel clutch. I keep forgetting the name of that finisher, but it's the camel clutch. They call it a different name. So main event I thought wasn't that bad this week. You only had that one squash match, but the Swagger Ziggler match was a decent match, and the Shield Wyatt family match was a really good match. And we had announced on SmackDown. Well, first I should announce that they did announce tomorrow it's going to be Cesaro versus Big Show. That should be good. Cesaro is going to really show his strength off in that match, and then it's going to be Daniel Bryan and the tag team champions Jimmy and Jay the Usos versus Batista, Kane, and Randy Orton. I think that match is going to be really awesome. I can't wait to watch SmackDown this Friday, and I'm going to watch the pre-show and backstage pass. I just didn't feel like doing that for Raw. I really just wanted to watch Raw. So now I'm going to talk about the Daniel Bryan video. What a well done video. I thought the video was the video still wasn't the best because I think they should have made this maybe before Mania, but then actually I don't know. I really liked this video though. Very well done. It would like show like what's going on, like what stuff is going on with him. During they started on March 31st, which was 6 days before Mania. They also gave like a little bit of a background of who Daniel Bryan is. Talks about how he's from Abington, Washington, and he said that his father is well, they had a name for it, but he measures logs and he splits logs. But they had a name for it. I don't remember what the name is. It was like some weird name. And talked about how he really got into gardening. The main people that talked were John Cena, Brie Bella, and Seth Rollins. They did a really good job. Occasionally had Cesaro, Stone Cold Steve Austin. Cesaro, Stone Cold Steve Austin. Pat Patterson actually did a lot of talking too. And I think there was somebody else that did a lot of talking, but I can't think of who. Oh, and then you had Sheamus and The Miz and stuff like that. I thought, and I think Cody Rhodes did talk once. But yeah, Daniel Bryan talked about like how he got into wrestling when he was in first grade. So he was actually a wrestling fan since he was in first grade. Talked about how he was born in I think 1981. He said got into wrestling when he was in first grade. Really liked the sport and he wanted to be a wrestler, but everyone would always tell him he's too small. And immediately after high school, he graduated and he went on to go into Shawn Michaels training camp. And Shawn Michaels talked about how he knew that everyone was gonna say he was too small. And I really liked that they said that they included Shawn in there too. And William Regal talked about how he wanted to do all the learn all the technical stuff about wrestling, which he is mastered very well. And then they kind of go on and talk about his days in Ring of Honor, how he didn't really care that he was wrestling in an indie company, that he was just living his dream. John Cena talked about how just because you're an indie company doesn't mean you're good. You just either are good or you suck. He didn't really say it like that, but that's kind of what he implied. Then John Cena, then Daniel Bryan talked about how he got to wrestle guys like Seth Rollins, Cesaro, guys that became big in the company and guys that are going to be big in the WWE. Then he talked about coming to the WWE and going to NXT, saying that's he didn't like NXT. He thought he had to do a bunch of dumb challenges, and they made him look like a joke. And I actually agree with them. And they did make him look like a joke. He always lost. It was stupid. And he actually said his pro was ended up being the Miz. And you see the Miz backstage. And he was like checking on his face, like, you gotta look good for the wrestling fans or something. You gotta look good to be a star. And Bryan's like, you don't even look good anyways. You don't need to look good to be a star. So I thought that was well done. And then they talk about how his match with Chris Jericho, the first match he had, which actually made me a huge fan of Daniel Bryan. I was always a huge fan of Daniel Bryan. I liked watching his match with Chris Jericho, and it was very well done. And then it was just a really great match, and I remember watching that match now when he did the suicide dive and Jericho kind of caught him into this announce table. Like he did really good stuff. I thought he did very well, but they didn't keep to it. I don't think they should have had him win. He couldn't even beat like he lost it. He never won a match on that show. which I think they should have done. They never had him win a match. Um, so then he talked about how then he went to the main roster because this is when Nexus came, which consisted of Wade Barrett, all the guys from season one, like Wade Barrett, Skip Sheffield, which is known today as Ryback. Wade Barrett's known as Bad News Barrett now. Justin Gabriel, who's still Justin Gabriel. Heath Slater, same name. David Otunga. Michael Tava, who's released now. I always feel like I'm missing someone. Uh, Daniel Bryan. I think. Is Barrett, Sheffield, which is Ryback. Heath Slater, Justin Gabriel, David Otunga. Oh man, who did I missing? Let me actually look this up real quick. Because that will bug me all day if I don't know who I'm missing. Guess because it wasn't John Cena. I'm trying to think. Michael Tava. Maybe I did get everybody. I'm just not. I just didn't count it right. This might not. This will only take a second. I'm just really sorry. I really. Actually, you know what? I'm not gonna look it up on the computer. Look it up on my phone. I don't need that no more. The Nexus. I don't really want that up anymore. Sorry about this, but it's gonna bug me if I don't know who's in that right now. Okay, members. Okay, the original. Let me see if I can get to the original one. Wade Barrett, Daniel Bryan. Oh, Darren Young. That's who else was in it. Darren Young. Um, yeah, and how the WWE was so PG. Remember how in WWE in 2010, because this was back in 2010, was so PG. When someone would bleed, they would clean up the blood, stuff like that. So he talked about how he choked Justin Roberts with his tie, and he got fired for it. And I was pissed. It was dumb. I thought I was even like pissed back then because back then I was really high on wrestling. Back then I was like, a big fan of wrestling. I liked any type of wrestling. I didn't care if it was a joke. I liked watching wrestling. I didn't like. I always agreed with everything WWE did, and it wasn't. I didn't like that. I don't really like who I was back then as a wrestling fan. But yeah. Um, Dan, I didn't agree with this one. This kind of opened up my eyes, saying that WWE sucks. I did not like WWE at that point. I was pissed at WWE because I was thinking, what could Daniel Bryan have? Like I even think now, what role would Daniel Bryan have played in the Nexus? So John Cena said he would have been amazing in the Nexus, and watching his heel work from now, um, he would have been amazing. Well, like when he was in 2012 as a heel, he would have been amazing. Wade Barrett did overshadow everyone in the Nexus, but I don't think Daniel Bryan would have gotten overshadowed. He could have had some amazing matches with John Cena, John Morrison. I mean, he still had these matches, but as a heel, can you imagine like how it could be like disrespectful wrestler heel? Imagine a match of amazing match you could have had with like Edge, which they did have a match before, but like on that statement, I mean, they could have given him a mid card championship in the Nexus. Um, they could have put him in the feud with Cena too. Like it could have had Daniel Bryan and John Cena. Can you imagine how he could work with like I'm trying to think who was on the roster back then. You could have like a heel Sheamus too, a face Randy Orton again. Like this would have been amazing stuff if he was in the Nexus. They could have done some amazing stuff with him. So then they talk about when they brought him back at SummerSlam. When it was Team WWE, which consisted of John Cena, um, Edge, Bret the Hitman Hart, John Morrison, who's released now. Edge is retired too. Chris Jericho, R-Truth, and that was only six. They needed a final member, and the Great Khali couldn't participate because he got laid out by the Nexus. Um, and Miz wanted to be on the team, and John Cena says, "We already have a member." It's Daniel Bryan. Now I heard that WWE.com spoiled it, which they should not. They done, but they spoil stuff nowadays. They spoiled Hulk Hogan's return. They spoiled Stone Cold's return. I kind of hate the fact that they spoil this stuff. The returns now, that kind of pisses me off. Batista's, I think, wasn't their fault. Um, but I hate that they spoil stuff now. Um, and Let me think. What was? Oh yeah. So then Daniel. So then he made his return, and they were talking about. Pat Patterson was talking about how he convinced Vince to hire him back, and he said, "I don't want to hire this guy. He's disrespectful to the company." Pat Patterson's like, "He's made a mistake. Give him another chance," and he did, and it's very impressive. Um, and Daniel Bryan said no one. He didn't think anybody would know who he was because he wasn't never on really because he never really was on Raw because he was on NXT all the time. So he was never really on the mainstream Raw. But everyone, as you know, went nuts for Daniel Bryan when he came out. It was sick to see Daniel Bryan. Um, and of course, he got eliminated in the match, but he actually did very well. We remember got three guys out. He got Darren Young out. He got Heath Slater out, and I think he got somebody else. So I remember he got somebody else out, but I don't remember who it was. But I thought that was very well done stuff. And then they kind of skipped talking about his mid card championship run, which I didn't like. How he won the U.S. title. I think they should have included that in there, but they didn't do it. I really wish they could have covered when he won the U.S. title because that would have been sick. But they kind of skipped and talked about. Well, they went back to the WrestleMania stuff, and Nikki shows him and Brie Bella are live and talking about just a bunch of stuff and how he's getting ready for WrestleMania. Talked about how like he doesn't really want to be a big star for the just to be a big star. He doesn't like if he just to be a big star. He wants to show off his wrestling skills, which I think he does very well. Um, and then they go on and talk about how he was excited to see to be in WrestleMania and at WrestleMania 27. Um, and I remember this too. Um, it was supposed to be Sheamus defending. He was the heel too at the time, defending the United States Championship against Daniel Bryan. And then they said they had a special meeting with the talent relations, and they got that match got put like on the dark match. Um, and they were not happy about that. Sheamus says he was not happy about being on the dark match. Neither was Bryan. It was his moment, and they took it away from him. It was a lumberjack match. So he says that they were not happy being on the dark match, and Sheamus says that's a moment in his career that he's gonna forget, and I don't blame him. They really could have had him become. They really could have just had him on the show. They definitely could have fit him on the show. Any match you could have put on the dark match. No, I guess you didn't want to really claw off Mania. I don't know, but you did not. They could have done something. They could have found a way to fit that on the show. Um, then we got It was just like the Cody Rhodes 2 this year. Last year when the Team World Scholars, which is Cody Rhodes and Damian Sandow, and Bella Twins, which is Nikki and Brie Bella, um, and the Tons of Funk, Brodus Clay, and Tensai, Sweet Tea, and the Funkadactyls, Naomi and Cameron, got cut from Mania, and they honestly could have fit that on the show. They could have put Miz and Bayley for the IC title match on the show and then put that on the pre-show. That really would have fixed the problem, but they didn't do it. Same thing here, and it seems like Brie Bella got the same kind of thing. She also got cut from Mania, and so did Bryan, so they have bad luck when it comes to WrestleMania. Well, they had bad luck when it came to WrestleMania. It's Brie Bella, kind of. So then they go on and talk about him winning. I kind of wish they would have talked about him winning the Money in the Bank. Talk about how he finally won the Money in the Bank because I really hated that. They also talked about how 2011 was one of his lowest points of his career, and how he didn't really feel like he wanted to wrestle. So then Brie Bella, and loved him even then, and it showed like when the Bella Twins, when they used that as a storyline when they were like in love with Daniel Bryan, and we obviously knew that they really weren't. Um, and I guess like when Brie Bella kissed Daniel Bryan, she felt some sort of spark. So I guess if you look at it, the wrestling can ruin relationships, but it can also make relationships. Like maybe Daniel Bryan and Brie Bella would have never been together if the WWE didn't make that storyline. So they really have to thank the WWE for that one. But anyways, he talked about his yes chance, and he said that he used that as like an annoying, excited celebration stuff when he won the world title, and he did. And then they talked about WrestleMania 28 again, and everyone was really hard on Daniel Bryan. Everyone went nuts for Daniel Bryan when on that show. And then they opened the show, I remember, with Daniel Bryan defending his World Heavyweight Championship against Sheamus. You thought they were gonna kind of like fix the WrestleMania match they had last year, but they didn't do it. It was an 18-second match. It meant nothing. Um, it was like an April Fool's joke, I think, too, because it was on April Fool's Day, and I think that's what happened. I really am disappointed by that, though. You could have gotten like a good match out of it if you were given it some time. Um, you had Brodus. I remember too. You had Brodus Clay come out there and do that dumb comedy skit with Dancing with the Mamas. You could have cut that and put Daniel Bryan versus Sheamus. That would have been better. But like maybe make him have a real match. And everyone was so disappointed. But then they were talking about how it made Daniel Bryan because everybody went nuts for him. I remember the next night on Raw, and he wasn't even on the show. Everyone just went nuts for him. And I remember John Cena before Brock Lesnar came out went yes, yes, yes. I owe Daniel Bryan. You owe me for that. He actually John Cena got him over too. So John Cena can make stars. And then he even says that on the dark match, it was Kane, Randy Orton, and Big Show. No, it was Randy Orton, Sheamus, and Big Show. This was back when they were all babyface Randy Orton, anyways. Versus Kane when he was in his when he just kind of remasked and he was a heel. Daniel Bryan obviously is still a heel, and Cody Rhodes when he was a heel. A Big Show, by the way, was the Intercontinental Champion. Sheamus was the World Champion, and everyone went nuts for him when he came out. Um, and that showed like this footage of him talking about like the Yes Movement and saying how he thanks like for them for the support and stuff. And then they go on and kind of talk about some stuff like here and there. How they didn't really talk about how he won the WWE Championship at SummerSlam. They didn't talk about his tag team with Team Hell No. They talked about how he was a kind kid and nice guy. How and saying how would you not want this guy to be pushed? And they talked about how I'm trying to remember what else they talked about. They also talked about how when they did the championship kind of like coronation thing, when they did it, when John Cena before they unified the WWE and World Heavyweight Championship, and John Cena and Randy Orton came out and they did like they put the titles on like the thing so they on the cables for the TLC match, and it was supposed to be about them. But Daniel Bryan got a standing ovation. Everybody wanted Daniel Bryan. Everybody loved Daniel Bryan. So that was cool. And they talked about too how they wanted him in the Royal Rumble match, and when he wasn't in the Rumble and Rey Mysterio came out number 30, they booed the crap out of Rey Mysterio, and I remember that. I was actually kind of pissed at Rey Mysterio too. I wasn't pissed at Rey Mysterio. I was just pissed that WWE was dumb enough not to put him in the Rumble. I'm still shocked to this day that they didn't, but maybe. But yeah, and then they talked about like his Mania matches. They showed like him training for his Mania match, him going to the WrestleMania press conference. We find out that Daniel Bryan and Brie Bella, keep watching that, are gonna get married this Friday. Actually, the week after WrestleMania, and they were hoping to get like a break, and which didn't happen. So I hope what doesn't happen is they're gonna go on the honeymoon, so they take the championships off Bryan. I hope that doesn't happen. Maybe what you can do is you can have him get like a concussion for 2 weeks, and have him go on the honeymoon. Then just have a concussion for a couple weeks, and have him come back then. That wouldn't be that bad. Um, anyhow, though, that was weird that I just said that, but yeah, they talked about that. They showed him beating Triple H, and everybody congratulated him. The Rock even hugged him backstage, which is cool. Um, and then it shows him winning the WWE World Heavyweight Championship, and everyone congratulated him backstage. Him going to the Hall of Fame too. It's just, and then they ended it, and it was just a really interesting video package. If you have the WWE Network, definitely check this out. And you're a Daniel Bryan fan, check this out because this was a really great video put together video package. I thought it was just really well done, and it was kind of cool to see kind of like the story behind Daniel Bryan. I wish they could have added a little more, like him winning the U.S. title, him winning the Money in the Bank, and maybe him winning the WWE Championship at SummerSlam, but maybe they wanted to save that for the WrestleMania thing. But maybe his tag team with Kane too. Seeing how I want to kind of want to like to know how he thought about that, and when he switched to no, because I was kind of hoping that they would cover that. But that's the end of this video. Thank you guys for watching this video, and all I have to say is peace out. Maybe, oh wait, not yet. I gotta give you guys the stuff. So you can subscribe to this channel if you haven't. You can subscribe to CM Brothers. You can subscribe to CM Live Reactions. I might make a return in summertime. Subscribe to Owen the Talkinator. I'm gonna probably be on that channel over April vacation. When I go on April vacation. You can add me as a friend on Facebook as Owen Finch, Owen Pinch, Owen Peter Dance, and Adam Finch. Follow me on Twitter, Owen the Birdman. It's called. It's down below, so you guys can watch that. Well, look at that. You can also add me on Instagram. It's Finch Owen. I did it off my Facebook, so it's not a created name. It's my last name and then my first name. And add me on Snapchat. It's Birdman105. So that's pretty much it, guys. Peace out.